our mind, and our iman, our soul. And today we're going to focus on the soul. And the Shaykh, he mentions that the Muslim, just like we feed ourselves physically, and also we take care of our mind psychologically, the same way we have to feed the soul. And so it's important not to neglect the soul and just feed the body. It's important not to just feed the body and to neglect the soul. And he says some interesting statements that the Prophet ﷺ used to tell the companions. He would say, renew your faith. He would say, renew your faith. And he was asked, Ya Rasulullah, how do we renew our faith? And he would say, by frequently repeating, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. And the Shaykh, he says, the Muslim seeks to strengthen his soul through various kinds of worship. Right? So let's get some examples. Not everybody, when you see people, some people, they look fit. Right? And you ask them, how do you stay fit? And everybody has different answers. Right? Some people, they say, I don't do anything. Well, this is the way I am. Some people, they say, I don't eat carbs. Some people will say, I'm a vegetarian. Some people will say, I run every day. I run marathons, I run 5Ks and 10Ks, and I'm always running. Some people go to the gym. Right? There's all these different kinds of diets, different things that people do to take care of their physical body. So I want to hear some examples of what are some of the things that we can do to feed our souls. So what do you think? What are the kind of things that make your iman grow, that bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yes. Reading Quran. Reading Quran, for some people, it's like it works better than taking pain medication. Somebody has pain, right? And they start to recite the Quran. Some people, not everybody. And this, you're going to hear so many different examples. Some people will say reciting the Quran, right? Other people will say, I recite the Quran, I don't feel the same kind of khushu'. That's okay. Everybody, but you still read it. You still have to read the Quran. You might not read it as much as somebody who enjoys it a lot. Maybe you do something else. So that's what we're going to hear. So reading the Quran is something that, some people, they feel like, if they haven't read the Quran, their day is just not right. Something's missing. So reading the Quran. What else? How can we feed the soul? By adhkar. So remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some of the Salaf, they used to say that if they miss their morning adhkar, it's as if they're going to have a bad day. Like this, their morning adhkar was like their breakfast. If you don't have breakfast, you're grumpy, you're hungry, and irritable. This is how these people were with their adhkar. And with adhkar, and we're going to talk about in dua in a minute, because I think this particular part, adhkar and dua, it has a special place in building feeding your soul. What else? Prayer, salat, right? So some people will pray, and their prayer has so much khushu', they feel like the weight has been lifted off their shoulders when they pray. And they have so much khushu', and that prayer, it establishes, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ used to say, right? What did he say when he would tell Bilal radiallahu an to give the iqamah? What did he say? Aqim as-salah? Arihna biha ya Bilal. Bring us calmness and peace with it. Right? Say the iqamah is like saying, let's establish prayer. It means, bring us peace. It's time to establish peace, calmness, serenity, sakina, right? So getting that from the salah. There is a story of a companion who had, he had an infection in his leg. And, they brought some people, the doctors, and they said, we're going to cut your leg. And so they told him, they said, you could drink alcohol. Even alcohol was there. Obviously, you can drink it, and it, dulls the senses when you're drunk. and then we'll cut your leg. And he says, I'm not gonna drink alcohol, obviously it's haram. And then they said, okay. And then they called a few guys. It's like 4 or 5 guys came. They were big muscular guys. And when he saw them coming, what were they coming for? To hold him down, right? To hold him down. So he knew. He's like, no, you're not gonna hold me down. He says, well, your leg is infected, it's gonna kill you, right? So he said, let me make wudu and let me pray 2 rak'ahs, and when you know my rhythm of my recitation is going, I'm in it, then you start chopping off my leg. And that's what he did. He was praying his prayer, and in that prayer they cut off his leg. And so this is the khushu', this is the focus, the concentration that people get from their prayer. And so this, some people don't get that. Actually, a lot of people don't get that. And when you see somebody like that, their prayer, you're like, man, you're jealous. You're like, I don't know, I want to get that prayer. And one of the early scholars, he said, and this saying actually gives me hope. He said, I prayed in the first row in the masjid with jama'ah for 30 years before I felt khushu'. He says, I prayed in the first row with every jama'ah for 30 years before I felt khushu'. So sometimes you just have to do it. Even though you're not feeling the khushu', you're not doing it, you keep doing it. Ask Allah. Because all of this is a blessing from Allah. Right? Your iman comes from Allah. So keep doing it. Show your commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He will show you the rewards of it. What else? What else can you do to feed the soul? We're going to be doing siyam, right? So we fast, right? And the famous saying in Ramadan is we starve the body to feed the soul, right? We leave the body hungry because we're focusing on the soul. And siyam is one of those one of those very, very virtuous things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us to remind us. And again, there are people among us who like to fast a lot, but you see their prayer doesn't look like maybe that much khushu'. Or they recite the Quran, maybe they don't have that much khushu'. So all of these things, you don't have to do a lot of everything. You have to do some of everything, but you might have a special thing, right? It's the adhkar in the morning, maybe it's the adhkar at night, maybe it's praying in the masjid. Whatever it is for you, that's your thing. But it doesn't mean you don't do the other things. You do the other things. Obviously, you don't have to do as much of it, maybe, but everybody has their own thing. So it's like a regimen. Whatever your regimen is. Some people, when they go to the gym, they have a regimen of working out their chest, working out their legs, working out, and it's different. But if you look at 5 people in the gym, they all have big muscles, they all do different things. And so we're trying to achieve that same reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the end goal. Second thing he says is that you keep company with good people. And this is absolutely one of the things that I think is probably among the most I feel is most neglected. Because as adults, we always feel like, no, I can handle myself. Like if I see somebody doing something bad, I'm not going to be affected by them. But if that was the case, then every billboard everywhere should be empty. But it's not. Right? Why do people pay thousands of dollars, millions of dollars for a football ad on the Super Bowl? Because they know that the ads affect you. The people around you, they affect you. And so, he mentions the ayah from that we recite on Fridays. وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ يُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَهُ. So keep yourself content. Keep yourself around those people who are mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala morning and evening. Right? But most of us, if we have some party to go to, you go to a wedding or something, you want to sit at the table where probably people are talking about politics, they're making dirty jokes, and they're just laughing and joking, and no mention of good character or Allah or anything like that. And not that you have to mention necessarily Allah, but it's that some of these conversations are totally like off the wall, right? They're inappropriate. And so, but we like to be in the company of those people because they make us laugh and it's cool, and they're backbiting people, and they tell you, oh, this guy's up to this, and this guy got divorced, this guy had this guy that. You know, they're telling you the juicy details. So you sit around those people. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's telling you, be around those people who are remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala morning and evening. And then He says, and let not your eyes pass beyond them, seeking the pomp and glitter of this life. You know, in our language we would say the flashy things, right? He literally said the glitter, the pomp and glitter of this life. And that's what we want. We want flashy things, right? We want a new car, we want nice clothes, we want good, whatever it is something flashy, the newest thing. And that's what a lot of people who are involved in the dunya, that's their focus, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us not to be like those people. Nor obey any whose heart we have permitted to neglect the remembrance of Allah. Right? Don't go near those people. Don't follow those people who follow their own desires. And the last thing He says is about making dua and dhikr, which we mentioned before. You know, the dhikr is one of those things that, subhanAllah, I think that for me personally, I think my personal strength, or my personal thing that connects me with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like anything else is dhikr. And dhikr, actually not in Arabic. Yes, I say the prophetic du'as that we learn to when you wake up, when you go to sleep, when you go to the bathroom. We say these and we teach them to our children and everything. But it's actually when I wake up, I'll say the morning du'a, then I'll say something like, Alhamdulillah, oh, thank you Allah. I just say it just like that. Thank you Allah. When I wake up, I say, thank you Allah. Make this a good day. So literally, these are like the first words that come out of my mouth. Make this a good day, make it a productive day. Let me get things done, right? And protect me from evil. Right? And this is one of those things where you can argue that something that is virtuous, and something that is better are different. In other words, it's virtuous to say the sunnah, the hadith, the dua of the Prophet ﷺ. It's virtuous, it's more virtuous. But I believe that it is actually better in some circumstances to say the dua in a language you understand. Because the dua with khushu' is more important than just you saying it without khushu'. You saying it with khushu' understanding is more important than you saying it without khushu'. And this is, I think this is the way to teach our children, right? You have to teach them the prayer, but at the same time, they need to understand the meanings of these adhkar. And so with that, I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability to feed the soul just like we feed our bodies, and to take care of the soul, and to take care of increasing our iman, just like we take care of the body and the mind. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.